My way. Hello, this is Noam Hektik with Noam Eset's ESWC coverage. I have EG's Axslav here with me. First of all, how are you in your group right now? What are your results?
I'm actually really happy right now. I went 3-2 in the group, which the way it worked out, I actually was able to get second. So it was really big for me to get through the groups, and that's like, I mean, it already means you already get prize money, and it's really nice.
Yeah. You're going to face Stefano in the next step, in the round of 16. Have you ever played Stefano, and what do you think about his game overall?
Yeah, I've played him several times in ladder. I've only played him once in a tournament. It was in one of the IPL 3 qualifiers. I played him in like round 2 of it or something, and there I lost 1-2. But he's really good, and he's lately been on a tear. He just won IPL 3. So he's going to be. I actually think he's like a top 4 player in a tournament. So to run into him in a round of 16 it's going to be tough.
Yeah, he actually just dropped maps to Night End and ESWC, but besides that, he's 5-0 in his group, so he's doing really well to Old Grubby. Now, what do you think about this tournament overall? I know this is your first time in a tournament outside of the States, first time in Paris. How are you, enjoying Europe so far?
I love Paris, actually. I've been, I explored a bit yesterday. The food is just amazing. You can get good wine for cheap. Like, everything else is expensive here. That's the one bad thing about Paris is everything but wine is really expensive. But no, Paris is amazing. As far as the tournament goes, some of the things I'm a little disappointed in. I had a match on stage and it made me use a different resolution than I'm used to playing with. So that definitely was. I've never been to a tournament where they would do something like force a player to use settings they're not used to. And I hope if I'm on the stage for another match, I can get them to reconsider that rule, because that just it makes the quality of the games not as good. And but overall, we each have our own computers for the entire event, which is really nice because you can play between rounds. You can always stay warmed up. That's one thing that's advantage of here. It's less players as opposed to like an MLG where it's so many people. There's not enough computers for everyone.
Have you been able to keep your hands warm? I know a lot of players have been complaining about the cold.
Oh, actually, yeah. In the matches I played yesterday, it worked out well because we came in at 9, but we didn't start the first rounds until 11. So 2 hours you can play ladder. Even just like the temperature difference when everyone starts getting into. It's really cold when people first come into the building, and then all the more bodies get in. The computers are turned on, and it starts heating up. But today, I came in at 8:30 and had to play the first round. I think it was 9:30, and versus Snoot, a Norwegian Zerg, and both of us were having a hard time because our hands were still really cold. It's cold in here, and I know he was complaining about a lot, and it was a little bit of downside. Maybe they could have had the round a little bit later, or I guess it would be pretty expensive to heat the building better, but
maybe hand warmers.
Yeah. Actually, Grubby has a hand warmer. I know he's been carrying around, but like myself, I come from the desert. I never think of something like a hand warmer. I'm like, no, I want a hand cooler. Yeah, so I would never think of bringing it myself. So it would have been nice if they had something like that at a tournament. Yeah.
Okay, now EG just announced sort of a partnership with Slayers where players will be able to stay together. What about your plans? Do you have any plans of going to Korea maybe sometime in the future?
I would really like to go to Korea if I got the chance. I don't know if I'd want to live there long term, because it would be, I like to go out, walk around, talk to people, and I'm really bad with languages, so it would be difficult without knowing Korean. But I would like to spend, maybe a month or maybe a little more than that to train there. I don't know if that's in my future or not. EG's kind of on a budget, and I know they're sending, Hawk Puma, and I think Idra is going to go there. I think December sometime, and but I don't know if they ever plan on sending me. It's we'll see.
Okay. Now, have you had the chance to see the new Heart of the Swarm units yet?
I haven't seen them. I've heard people talking about them, and one thing that surprised me is I thought it would be more like StarCraft Brood War, where each race gets like 2 new units, right? But apparently they're actually getting rid of a lot of units too. So. Like I think they said they're get rid of the carrier and the mothership, and the new units aren't so much additional units; they're like replacement units. So this is actually, I actually like it better because the whole game will be totally different then, and I think that'll help me because I think I learned strategies and tactics pretty quick. And so I might be able to try to jump a little bit ahead of the curve when the game comes out. But it'll be exciting.
Now, I want to ask you a bit about the 2v2 matchup. You're a part of EG's 2v2 team, and what do you think about this matchup from a player's perspective? Is this really a broad matchup where you can find strategies? Is this an untapped strategies yet? What do you think about the matchup?
Well, when I first started playing Tier 2 and StarCraft 2, I was pretty excited for it, and it was really fun. And then after I played, maybe 50 to 100 games, I was thinking, okay, StarCraft is more designed for 1 versus 1. It's not as good for 2 versus 2, and it's all these rush builds. But then just recently, an example of there's the PTSL, which is a 2 versus 2 league that runs like once every 2 months, like $1,500 prize pool, and they've made their own maps for 2 versus 2. And with their new maps, it actually makes it way more fun. It's aggressive builds are still very good, but they're not the only build. That was the problem with 2 versus 2 before, is that it was only rush builds. And now with some of the new maps, I think there actually is a good amount of potential for it. And the other thing that I see potential in that PTSL is doing is while they're casting the games, they also have the option, you can listen, they have the players talk over Skype, and you can listen to like kind of the teamwork going on in the 2 versus 2. So I think there is more potential than I first thought, especially if you get good enough maps, and it can be pretty fun.
What about strategies like money dumping and shared control, which haven't been discovered yet, haven't been used so far as I know? Yeah,
I played 2 versus 2 in Warcraft a lot, and I was very high level in that. And there was actually, we did a decent amount of money sharing and things like that, and share control. But in StarCraft 2, the mechanics, there's more stuff to do, and the time it takes to like give money back and forth can make it so that unless you have practiced Tier 2 a lot and have the build really planned out ahead of time, it's not something you can really just do on the fly. So I think when you see, for example, that's why there's some players, I think there's a guy called like Hacker Protech. I think him and his partner won a 2 versus 2 PTSL, even though individually they're okay players, but their skill set isn't really that high compared to a lot of the top players. But because they have played thousands of 2s games and they have these, the money sharing and control sharing down, if their builds down really well, they can beat players who are skill set wise better because of just the more experience with that. So if 2 versus 2 becomes something where there's more prize money, I think we'll see people put more time into it, and then it takes a lot of time to develop that. But once people put time into it, it'll happen.
Now, this tournament calls itself a World Championship. We see a lot of flags of every country here around us. You're an American here together with Idra, but do you feel like you're representing your country? Do you feel like every win is actually a win for America as well?
I don't have too much of that feeling. I think it's because as the players, I know all the players I'm competing with, and it's not like, oh, this guy's from a different country, so he's not, I'd rather my own, guy. I mean, of course, my teammate Idra, I want him to win, but it's not just because he's an American; it's because he's my teammate. So I think it's the nationality is not as important as the teams for the players, and I think that's true. There's other players, like if you had someone like Show and Select, right? They're both from Dignitas, but I think they would cheer each other on over their countrymen.
Now, thank you very much for the interview. I hope you the best of luck versus the final attack will be later today. And do you have any shout-outs you want to make?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all our sponsors for EG. They, them and between the sponsors and the fans, that's what makes pro gaming possible. So, both, definitely have to thank those guys, and have to shout to everyone who likes me. The more people like me, the happier I am.
Right. Thank you very much for the interview, and best of luck.
Thank you.